Araki's office is a luxurious apartment set in Tokyo. The apartment itself isn't just his office, however. It's also the main location for Lucky Land Communications, the personal company of Araki he uses for everything corporate regarding JoJo's. You might recognize the logo, as it's referenced a ton in the series. The logo itself is a blister on a hand. To him, a blister on a hand is like a badge of honor for artists, or more specifically mangakas, a devotion to the craft. And with that, hi guys, Panda here. I heard this saying once, the way you treat your desk is how you treat your life. And that rings really true. The one thing people do the most is work, and usually we do it at our desk. A tidy desk shows that you treat your life tidy, and that you want things to be organized. A messy desk shows that you don't care about cleanliness, but maybe are more focused about your work. Looking at someone's desk can tell you a lot about them, their interests, their personality, who knows, maybe even their darkest secrets. And with Araki's work being so eccentric, I want to take a look at that. I don't want to just, talk about his workspace and all the books he has. I want to go through the entire thing. The best way to do this would be with a blueprint. The only issue is I don't have one. So the best way to do this, the hallway. His hallway has a large dresser with various accessories on and besides it, like a pink bouquet of roses, a large Egyptian artwork he had stolen during an Indiana Jones-like adventure, and 2 awards, both from Shonen Jump for reaching 350 and 500 chapters respectively. The 351 is like this large trophy cup, Mario Mushroom Cup award head-ass boy, while the 501 is a sleek blue tint glass prize. Right next to those two, we see a replica of the head of but instead of talking about that, Araki talks about the small turtle talisman he was given. Seemingly it comes with health and longevity, which checks out with him. Look at the guy. The dresser also features, funny enough, tiny miniature horses. So if you've ever wondered why those tiny horses were introduced in part 7, does this answer your question? Drawing room. This is the room where Araki and his assistants work on JoJo. The room features a big drawing station and a bunch of shelves. Before we make our way to the workstation in the middle of the room, we'll first take a look at everything leaning against the walls. In one corner is a big dresser filled with manuscript paper. These are directly sent by Shueisha and used to make the manga. Right next to that is a small parts storage cabinet with ink, pens and white liner, and also small plates for, I believe, paint. Right next over to that is another storage cabinet filled with screen tones, so the stuff you use for textures in manga. Alright, let's talk about the bookshelf. Araki's bookshelf features a kami dana, which is a Japanese shrine for spirits basically. Very common over there. But below and to its side and all around are various art books separated by cardboards. The shelf features a variety of books, including ones released by Araki himself. JoJo is a pretty long-running series, and with such a long-running series, you often forget your own character designs, which is one of the reasons why he has these books on hand. We won't go through all of these books, but I'd like to highlight some that also Araki himself highlights, like Italian Design by Dab, a book about, you guessed it, Italian design, a book about the Louvre and the art it features, various fashion magazines, and also European art-inspired books, and one that Araki highlights himself, a book about dissecting 18 famous ships. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce the book in Japanese, but in English it's called Stephen Bystie's Incredible Cross-Sections. The book itself basically just dissects buildings and ships and explains the architecture. It's actually quite interesting. Araki also owns The American Frontier by William C. Davids and The Art of Bev Doolittle. There's a lot more to be said here, but that's for another day. One aspect of Araki's work I feel goes unappreciated is its sense of architectural and interior design. I mean, just look at the Higashikata estate, or Kira's apartment, with all these books dissecting homes and buildings and everything around. It shows that he is very much influenced by those as well. We could go deeper about each book and explain what they have to do with Araki and how he used them, but first and foremost, I don't have the money to buy all of these books. And secondly, Trey the Explainer made a video diving into his reference material, and he did it way better than I could, so check his video out for that. What I would like to talk about instead are his manga. Araki said himself the manga featured on his shelf are ones he's inspired by. So Monster, Vagabond, Battle Angel Artilia, Fist of the North Star, Full Metal Alchemist, Kochi Kame, Dragon Ball, I Am a Hero, and also Yushun no Mon by Hiroshi Takashi. This one is really interesting. It's a horse race manga that hasn't been translated by anyone. There are no official nor fan translations of this manga. You rarely see that. especially with a manga of this size. This thing was massive. It ran for 5 years, had 33 volumes, 300 chapters, and several spin-offs. Like 6 spin-offs. Hello, Editing Noah here. Small correction. It had 84 volumes! The number I had was just for the first series. All the other serializations of this, so consider it like a part 2, part 3, part whatever, all together had 84 volumes. And it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, like an English one. There are so many mangas that just were huge and like a big staple of their time, and you cannot even find a single translation or any type of scans online. And not just unofficial ones, I mean official ones. They're lost to time basically. Okay, back to the video. You might have already noticed this from the pictures you're seeing on screen, but this was probably a heavy inspiration for Steel Run. Maybe on another day we can talk about how they parallel each other, but not now, because I don't feel like it. So let's finally talk about Araki's workstation. The drawing station features 4 desks, one for Araki and the other 3 for his assistants, with large dividers creating office-like cubicles. This was Araki's desk. He has a small phone, light pens, and everything else you need for all drawing. The desk also features a drawing board, one he has been using for years. And also, and I only noticed this while editing, another horse? How many of these does he have? In a storage cabinet on his desk are also the famous Araki character sheets. For those unaware, it's a sheet Araki uses when creating a character, asking various questions about the character's behavior, history, and personality. From personal experience, I can say these are amazing. They force you to think about questions you've never thought about before regarding your Cs. Like, yeah, what is this bitch-ass nigga name? His name is Shram, and I really love him. He has a stepsister by the name of Darling. Draw a fan art of them, or I'll fucking kill them. Oh my god, no I'm not. On his desk are also planned notepads used for planning new JoJo chapters, and right next to that are storyboards of those chapters. You see, most of my information for this video stems from this one interview, or rather this one jump reel with Araki. For those unaware, it was a short-lived booklet that ran from the beginning to end of 2016, with each release featuring a DVD giving us insight to the creative process of various mangaka working for Jump, like Oda, Toriyama, and Murata. As for Araki, he was the last one to be featured with the magazine's end on December 31st, 2016. This took place during the release schedule of JoJolion, and closing in on JoJoland's start, and you can tell. As Araki said himself, he went to Hawaii to explore the region and understand the culture, and with him he probably brought a lot of accessories. An obvious example would be the turtle talisman, but that aside, he also had this hula hoop, whipper thingy, I don't know what they're called. The reason I mention this is because I noticed something interesting. Shockingly, reference materials specifically for part 8 are hard to find here, or hard to notice? I'm sure you can find them if you look closely enough, but the only distinctive one I could find was this origami thing he has, which he obviously used for Paper Moon King. Which sorta gets me back to this whole thing I said earlier about how you can tell what someone does just by looking at their desk. We can pinpoint on what part he was working in this little thing. I want you to imagine this. If someone took a picture of your desk, let's say 10 years ago, and the only thing you were handed was the picture, could you tell, just by looking at the desk, during what stage of your life that picture was taken? While working on JoJo's, Araki frequently listens to music, which is why right next to his desk is not only a speaker, but also CDs, featuring music from Bob Dylan, Sean Kelvin, Van Morrison, and so forth. This isn't his entire CD collection, however. It has vastly grown in size since then. By the way, if you made it this far into the video, I would really appreciate a subscribe or a like. I want to grow in size, and one day maybe make it my full-time thing. One day. The computer room. This room is mainly for Araki's assistants, featuring a Mac PC, a drawing tablet, and more material. In my broken understanding of his Japanese, I believe he said he and his assistants have been working on some CGI stuff to help him and his assistants while drawing. And on top of that, he has been using the computer for processing images. Furthermore, if we take a look at the desk inside the room, right next to the computer are tissue papers and a strange liquid bottle. And that's where I will leave it. The airbrush room. This one is a bit self-explanatory. Basically, it's a room he uses to do his airbrushing. Having an entire room for airbrushing seems strange, but actually makes a lot of sense. Not only is airbrushing a messy endeavor that will stain your furniture like crazy, but it also is very harmful. Airbrushing is basically just blowing a bunch of sticky paint particles onto a canvas. But when you breathe those air particles in, they glue themselves onto the insides of your lungs. And because they're so resistant, they often linger in the air for hours. So making one small room dedicated to airbrushing is the safest bet for him and his assistants. So applause to Araki for not giving his assistants cancer.
The others?
Okay, I'm gonna be real, these last two rooms are really not interesting at all. It's a living room and a bathroom. If you've ever wondered if Araki shits, well, I'm sorry, I'm a bit distracted. Why is there another horse statue next to Araki? How many of these does he have? Is this normal? Am I supposed to have this many? Wait, there's another one!
Conclusion.
No, we need to go back to the horses. Why does he have so many of them? You would think he's using them as reference, but he isn't. If he was, he would only have them at work. This interview was taken at his home. Is that the reason why he introduced the tiny horses in part 7? Just because he thinks they're neat? Iron Rabbit, something dark, something awful. Wait, I suddenly remember why I said in the first act of the script. Looking at someone's desk can tell you a lot about them. Their interests, their personality. Who knows? Maybe even their darkest secrets. Oh no, I found out Araki's darkest secret. He loves miniature horses. And I have to say, for a dark secret, this is pretty tame. I was expecting murder. I should have never ever looked at Araki's desk. Steep Run is coming out, Wash is still streaming, and now Araki's also into horses. I swear to God, if I see one more horse... To get back to the thing I said at the beginning, a person's workspace shows you who they are. A messy workspace from a messy person, a clean workspace from a clean person. Well, that's what you can learn from a person just by looking at their room or the desk. But now's the question, what did we learn about Araki? Almost everything in his office is very organized. Things are divided with proper care, they're kept clean, and in general everything looks, pretty cool. But then when you look at his desk and everyone else's desk, they do seem a bit untidy. But in a way, every artist's desk is untidy. It is, in a sense, the nature of an artist. But to conclude, this nigga fly as fuck. If you're a long-time viewer of this channel, please take a second to listen to me. This video is different from usual because, I don't want to put an aggressive amount of work into it. All my other videos are done very strategically, with a lot of thought, a lot of care, and so was this one. But I didn't want to overdo it in the editing department because there's something very, very awful about putting a bunch of effort into editing a video and then it gets like 38 views. So I'm gonna reserve my energy for very important stuff that I want to focus on and also make these smaller, easier videos. So don't worry, I won't go all lazy mode on y'all. I just wanna put some work off of me. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any, topics you would like me to discuss, write down below. And until next time, bye-bye.